The financial exploitation piece of an abusive relationship makes it very difficult for a person to get out of or even have the thoughts of getting out of that relationship.
What's going to be the options? Where they're going to go?
Abuse later in life can happen to anyone, and it can happen at any point in a relationship. It can also go on for many years and can include a partner becoming ill or even during a second marriage.
And after each incident, he would say how sorry he was, and he was so remorseful it would never happen again. But it happened again, and next time maybe it was a little worse than the last. He had me trapped in one of the bedrooms to come out, and I tried to get past him, and he wouldn't allow it. I guess I said the wrong thing, and he slapped me. I don't remember, but I flew through the air, and I came down, and I must have been passed out for a second or so, but I had turned my head, and I was laying there, and I saw my daughter jump on my husband's back, and he threw her off, and she came down on her back, and I couldn't move, but somehow she was able to get up, pick me up, and take me out the front door, and take me to my neighbors and call the police. In fact, that was the time I think my husband raped me, and I got pregnant. I finally called my brother, and I told him what had occurred, and he was mortified. And he says, "Why didn't you tell us?" I said, "I don't know, I wanted to protect him. I didn't want anyone to know."
Well, of course, people do often ask, why does someone stay in an abusive relationship? People seem surprised, especially if an abusive relationship has lasted for 30, 40, 50 years.
Because I was always told that I would never be able to be out on my own, how unhappy I'd be, I'm worthless and ugly, and no one would want to be with me, and all. And the way, it's just all tools that he's used to break me down so that I wouldn't be strong enough to leave.
Of course, domestic violence advocates like to turn the question around and say what we really should be asking is, why does the person batter? Why does the perpetrator batter? But it is important to look at factors that may keep a person in a relationship.
He said, "Everything is mine, and just get out, just leave, just, offered me $1.
I can't tell you how many people may have said that. Why don't you just leave? They don't understand. And I hear this even today. Why didn't you just leave? How do you leave when you don't have any resources? Where to go, what to do, how to provide for yourself. You have children, how to take care of them.
And for older people, often that is a circumstance of dependency.
And that because I wasn't working and I didn't have an income, I didn't have a history of income, I couldn't go get a car because I didn't have a history of income. To get a car, I didn't,
I knew I needed to get a job. I had been trying for 7 years to get a job and had not been successful. And it's always been my age was what got in the way.
I'm 72, and who wants to hire a 72-year-old? They don't, even as a part-time. And that's sad.
It's more often that you'll find that the woman has not worked outside the home. She has spent her time rearing her children, contributing to the family in that way. The man in the relationship is often completely 100% handling all the financial arrangements. So, and if it's an abusive relationship, then that abuse is likely carried over into the financial relationship. If someone has been married for a very long time, there's been physical abuse. She just didn't really know what else she could do. Where am I going to go? I can't go out and start a new life. I have no access to money.
So what are you going to do? maybe stay in the same broken record.
As the years go by, that situation just gets worse and worse.
It just gets tougher and tougher the older that we get.
And there were times before I came here that I just said, why bother? You know, he's stronger than I am. He's got money.
Having no financial control means they also have no financial knowledge. They don't know anything about their finances. They don't know anything about their assets. And the problem with that is it's difficult for service providers then to access community resources that they might be able to get because of their financial situation.
Our domestic violence shelters are able to help them with support groups and resources and referrals, and our allied agencies are also able to collaborate with our domestic violence centers and advocates in outreach and in shelter to provide them transitional housing, or to provide them supplemental income, or to provide them the support they need to be able to live an independent life.
Many older victims of abuse benefit from remedies offered by domestic or sexual violence programs, such as safety planning, individual or group counseling, emergency housing, and medical or legal advocacy.
Safety planning for elders is crucial.
We will talk to them about a financial plan on how to get out of the relationship, how to open another account, how to get in touch with Social Security and have their automatic deposit deposited in their new account. But we also safety plan with them on how this is going to go when they go home and they're around the abuser, and safety plan on ways to get out of the relationship if it gets violent, of how to have an escape bag prepared and in their vehicle, maybe how to have a second set of keys outside the home in case they need to escape. Or maybe as simple as having someone that can remove them from the premises on their speed dial on their phone.
And it took a long time for me to get this all together so that I knew when this occurred, he wouldn't know about it, that I was protected, that I'd have someplace to stay, to hide before this occurred. I had people in place who were going to help me.
The first part, which was most difficult for Shelley when she was working with her safety plan to get her financial freedom from her spouse, was the emotional piece.
We met twice a week for the first few weeks, and pretty soon she had me calmed down enough that I was beginning to think.
Once she got through that, then it was a matter of what's your number one priority, and let's start working on goals to reach those priorities. Some of those priorities and goals were getting her own personal belongings out of the joint belongings, and then the other piece was getting finances into a place where she would be able to financially find her own place to live and work on that. So we set up her goals, and then we one by one worked on her goals together.
It just goes to show what you can do when you have a clear head and you have someone mentoring you and helping you, someone that you know is standing beside you shoulder to shoulder. I trusted the shelter, I trusted Vicki Jo.
We make sure if they are committed to leaving the relationship that we safety plan with them on how to get their part of the money out before legal papers are filed.
She gave me strength. She gave me courage. She made me realize and feel like I am a survivor because I refused to be a victim.
So I gave up a lot of financial just so that I would be free of him, to never look back. And I'm not sorry for that. I still am without means. I live on Social Security, and he probably has a little better life than I, but it gave me peace, the peace I never had before, and It gave me a self-worth that I can live on my own, take care of myself.
And the work that my advocate did with me to keep me calm, to help me to unlearn coping behaviors that were inappropriate that I had learned from little on, since I was also a survivor of childhood abuse.
I learned little by little how to have a bank account, how to write a check.
I finally found someone that understood what I'd been through, what I'd experienced.
I walked in this house and I knew from just walking in that this is my home, and it felt so good. It felt so comforting and peaceful, and like I could breathe without fearing, without having that fear that I felt for so long.
My freedom from judgment, from ridicule, my freedom to be able to practice my faith without ridicule, constant. To me, that was priceless. It was worth everything I had to go through and will go through.